Story time about how I accidentally joined a cult that landed me in an abusive marriage. Let's get into it. So, I'm 35 years old, and my experience took place almost 20 years ago when I moved from Ohio all the way to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to participate in a 10-month-long leadership internship, or you could also call it a seminary internship. At the time, the church was called Bethany World Prayer Center. Now it's called Bethany Church. And they had the largest youth ministry in the country at the time. They had 10,000 young people who were actively participating in their youth ministry. And my church, 2 summers in a row, went to this huge youth conference that they had. And that's how I got exposed to not just their youth ministry, but also their curriculum, their leadership programs. Their head pastor also was known for writing phenomenal books. They were also very well known for having small groups. At this time, churches throughout the country were doing discipleship groups, small groups where they'd invite people into their homes, community centers, etc., outside of just a traditional Sunday service to participate in doing life together. And these were called small groups. So their internship that they promoted would essentially teach young people how to go back to their churches and have a thriving youth ministry established on small groups, okay? So 220i was super popular because it was radical. It was young people ranging anywhere between 18 years to mid-20s who were like on fire for God. They were radical. They would sing worship. They would lay hands on people. You would see signs, miracles, wonders, deliverance. And it was people who looked like you. They were kind. They were bubbly. They were energetic. They were diverse. And so when you would go to this conference, it would be energetic. I mean, imagine being in a room full of 10,000 young people, different races, cultures, ethnicities, denominations, all in one room, all worshiping God. And it was something I had never experienced. So being here and seeing these interns put on this pedestal absolutely captivated me. And by the time I graduated, instead of going to college, I decided to take a year off and to do this internship because I wanted to know what it meant to do ministry and to do it in a healthy way. So I decided to pack up my things. My mom supported my decision, and I moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for a year. So when I met with her, she ended up sharing with me about some of the things to expect. So for example, we moved in and she let me know, hey, we're going to have a night of deliverance. I'm like, what the heck is a night of deliverance? So she shared with me a little bit, but not extensive. She's like, well, go, you'll get prayed for, and then you'll experience deliverance. So to spare you all the details of what happened that night, let's just say I saw some crazy things that I witnessed with my own eyes. I saw people slithering on the floor. I saw all kinds of things that you could imagine in a movie, and my little brain didn't know what to comprehend, okay? That's how much I'll share about that. After the night of deliverance, we got back and she's like, hey, you know how we have that retreat that we're going to go on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited about it. She's like, well, it's not actually a retreat. It's actually a boot camp. Now listen, y'all, the only boot camp I know about is the military boot camp, okay? So I'm like, boot camp? She's like, yeah, it's going to be a boot camp, and they're going to take us in the middle of nowhere. And even though it's going to seem like it's going to be amazing, it's actually going to be really crazy. So she's like, if I were you, I wouldn't eat the food because I know a lot of people who end up participating in this boot camp and they throw everything up. I'm like, throw everything up? What are we getting ourselves into? So sure enough, y'all, the very next day, we pick up our sleeping bags, we have our minimal items, and we get loaded up on a bus. So we get on the bus, they collect all of our cell phones, and we drive maybe at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. And of course, we don't know where we're going. We get to the campgrounds, I think is what it was. Again, it's in the middle of nowhere. And sure enough, it's a retreat style. They have food. Everyone's greeting you. They're so kind. There's worship. There's a really awesome, powerful word, and everyone around me is excited. But me, I'm full of anxiety because My roommate told me what it's going to be, a boot camp. And then things shift. And when things shift, we get blindfolded and we're told to line up. They blindfold us. And I can't remember if we had a rope or if we were just supposed to hold on to the person's shoulder in front of us. But regardless, we're blindfolded and it's our job to stay attached to whatever it was to ensure we don't get lost. We're then taken through woods. Again, I can't see. I'm blindfolded. So you're stepping on sticks and rocks, and people are tripping, and you're just focused on do not lose this person in front of you because we cannot see and it's nighttime. And then we stop and our blindfolds come off. And when our blindfolds come off, we are in this pitch black field. And the only light that's illuminating towards us are these distant car lights. And I remember just looking around and we are terrified. So part 2 of how I accidentally joined a cult that landed me in an abusive marriage. So we're in the middle of this field. It's pitch black. The only lights that are on us are illuminating from cars that are in the distance, and there's nothing but confusion. I don't know if you are aware of some of the signs that you could be a part of a cult, but one of the first symptoms is isolation. So we are completely isolated. We are alone. There's confusion. We have no access to the outside world because we don't know where we are. We're in the middle of nowhere. They took our phones and everything shifted. I was really afraid. I don't remember everything that happened that night, but it went very quickly and they shuffled us to these small kind of cabin shacks that had no electricity. So we go in there, it's filthy, it's dirty. I could not sleep. All we had were our sleeping bags, maybe a pillow, and we tried to go to sleep. I don't know how long we were asleep. I didn't really sleep. It may have been an hour, maybe 2. And then they come waking us up with flashlights and we are told to get dressed and go out on the field. I was already dressed. I already had my shoes on. That I do remember. And we go on the field. And for the next 3 days, you all, we were humiliated. We were dogged. I really mean, we were talked down to. People were kicked out for no reason. Well, the reason would be that you're not conforming. The reason would be that you're rebellious. You're questioning them. You were sinful. You were despicable. The entire purpose of the boot camp was to legitimately psychologically break us down so that we could be built up to be true disciples of God and to be teachable and humble enough to receive from the leaders so that they could pour into us for the next 10 months and make us the true disciples that we needed to be because we were so despicable. This is also where they started to push conformity, pushed authoritarianism, where we were not allowed to question. If we were to question, that we were seen, like I said, as disrespectful, to be rebellious. That's one of the things that they really push. You're rebellious. Started sharing about these white papers that you would get if you were disobedient, and then you would be disciplined. They started pushing these things. I also want to share with you that the only food that we were getting was food out of tuna cans and water. And some people may have gotten crackers. I don't remember. But that's the only food after that retreat that night where they had all the food and everything that we got. By the time that we were done, I had lost 7 pounds. I remember I checked my weight. I had lost 7 pounds in less than 3 days. One of the things I remember, though, that let us know that our time at boot camp was coming to a close is we were to pick up crosses. We legitimately had to pick up these huge beams and we carried them. And that was us picking up our cross to die daily, just like Christ picked up his cross for us. And that symbolized that we were true disciples of God. And so after we got to that, we were so relieved. Some people had been kicked out. Some people had been sent home, and it was like, oh, we're done. So we get back. I had been eaten alive by chiggers. I didn't even know what chiggers were. That was very uncomfortable. And anyways, the very next day we started going to classes. So the schedule for some of the days would be, we'd be in hour-long seminary classes, and then we would have, after the seminary classes, we would have discipleship classes, or whatever they called it at the time. I don't remember. And I remember when it came to the part where we were being discipled outside of the seminary classes, I had to really use the restroom. And I asked 3 times if I could go to the restroom, probably within the span of an hour or two. And I was ridiculed. I was told no. I was embarrassed. So think about it. I had just been browbeaten for 3 days, deprived of food, deprived of sleep, and all they're talking about is not rebelling and listening to authority. And so you can imagine what happened when I was not allowed to go to the restroom.